Oh no, it's gone. Why? As soon as I got home, I couldn't help but to scream. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find my treasure, the $5,000 ring.
Oh, that expensive-looking one? My sister wanted it, so I gave it to her. Oh, it's fine, right?
No, it's not fine. That was given to me by my mother, and it's irreplaceable to me.
Oh, shut up. I'm the one who has been supporting you, so don't talk crap about my decisions. I'll divorce you if you don't quiet down, okay? I could leave you anytime I want to, you know? All you have to do is say, yes, I understand, and obey me.
I bit my lip and burst into tears at his arrogance. Fine, then if my husband Dan is going to go that far, then I also have an idea. He better not underestimate what I'm capable of. My name is Nora. I am a full-time housewife who turned 37 this year. I used to work as a nurse before I got married, but I quit my work when I got married at the request of my husband, Dan. Dan was working as a salesman for a company at the time of our marriage, but he recently changed his job. He now works from home. Since Dan and I share the same hometown, both our parents live nearby. And although we do not live together with Dan's parents or my parents, both of our parents live very close to where Dan and I live. And we have no kids. It's not that we didn't decide to have kids, but even after 10 years of marriage, we weren't blessed with a baby. After about 5 years of marriage, I went to the clinic once for a checkup and found no issues on my part. As for Dan, I don't even know if there is an issue or not because Dan has never gone to the clinic, no matter how many times I have urged him to do so. But I am not going to complain about it, nor am I going to force him to go to the clinic for a checkup. For my part, I would be happy if we could live a nice life together as a couple, even if we don't have kids. My parents also weren't the ones who would ask for grandkids every time we saw them, and leave the matter of having a baby to Dan and I. But my mother-in-law Lauren had a completely different view. She would come to my house unannounced and without telling me, and every time we saw each other, she would ask if I got pregnant yet with her grandchild. I could understand that she wanted to see her grandchild, but her constantly asking me about getting pregnant was stressing me out and was really getting to me. And Lauren also complains about my housework. Oh, Nora, what's with the way you fold the laundry? You're a housewife, so you should be more careful. What? Is there something wrong with it? I'm just doing it normally. Oh, you're always talking back. You're acting like that to Dan too, aren't you? No, no. You have to support your husband properly. If you can't do that, then you're not qualified enough to be his wife. Every time she would say anything, it would always go like that. It could be a small thing, but when they pile up, it becomes an unbearable pain. I have talked to Dan about it, but he just won't listen to me at all. And actually, even Dan was giving me a hard time. Hey, about your mother, I get really hurt when she says such terrible things to me, you know. You could at least talk to her about it.
You married me to be a family with me and to be my wife because you wanted to, right? Just listen to what my mom has to say. And why don't you just stop complaining and do the housework properly? I'm busy with work, but you're doing nothing.
Dan doesn't seem to want to get into trouble with Lauren, who is really stubborn, so he's always trying to make me feel guilty. And even though it was Dan who requested that I become a housewife, he would always look down on me and say that since I don't work, I'm not busy when I am busy with house chores. Just dealing with Laura and Dan is enough, but recently another problem has come up. and that was Dan's sister Justine. She has been my problem too recently. Justine is the same age as me, and she is also married. She lived within 30 minutes distance, but apparently she had a big fight with her husband, so she packed her bags and moved back to her parents' house. If that was all there is to it, there was nothing I could say anything about Justine. But just like Lauren, Justine would come to my house without any notice and goes through my house as if it was hers. Unlike Lauren, she has never said anything terrible to me, but anything she finds in our house, she always wants it, and every time she would ask me if she could have it, which was quite annoying. Hey, Natalie, this bag is really nice. Oh, I like these heels too. If I were you, I'd show them off to everyone. You have so many expensive looking things, why don't you give me at least one of them? Dan bought them for you anyways, didn't he? No, he didn't. I bought all of them with my own money a long time ago, and some with my savings after we got married. If you want them, why don't you buy them yourself? I don't have that kind of money, so that's why I'm asking you to give it to me. Oh, this ring is cute! And doesn't it fit my finger perfectly? I won't ask you for money, so please just give me this one. What Justine was looking at was a ring with diamonds on it. This ring was a precious thing that my mother had given me when I got married. My mother had told me that it costed about $5,000. But how much it costed was irrelevant at this point. I was happy that my mother thought of me and gave me this ring. So it's only natural that there was no way I could give up a precious ring, which was also my treasure. When I firmly refused, Justine had a sulky attitude and said, "Oh, fine," and then she left the house angrily. I then decided to move the ring out of the drawer and put it into the bedroom closet, just in case. This way, the next time someone looks into my dresser, they wouldn't know where I put the ring. If I went this far, Justine would surely give up on the ring as well. And that day I had gone to a nearby supermarket to buy ingredients for dinner. Normally, I would go home as soon as I bought what I wanted, but I happened to run into one of my neighbors, so we talked to catch up for about 30 minutes. After that, I was able to go back home without any incident, but as soon as I entered the living room, I felt somewhat strange. The arrangement of the furniture seemed to have changed somehow. And it wasn't just the living room. Things in the bedroom and the room which is used for storage looked like it was moved around. The first thing that came to my mind was Dan's presence. If there had been a burglary, Dan, who was working from home, would have noticed clearly. So he must know something. I knocked on the door of Dan's study where he was working. He always tells me not to disturb him while he is working, but since it was an emergency situation, I had no choice. Hearing me knock, I hear Dan's voice through the door saying,
"What the hell?"
I feel like some of the things in our house had moved around.
"Well, my mom was here earlier. Can I go now? I'm busy right now."
As soon as I heard what he had said, I had a very bad feeling. No way. I panicked and headed for the bedroom right away. Then I reached my hands into the back of the closet. Oh no, it's gone. The ring, which my mother gave me, is gone. I unconsciously let out a scream. Then Dan came into the bedroom, probably because he heard me scream. "Dan! My ring! It's missing! What shall I do? Where did it go?" At my words, Dan then said,
"Oh, yeah. About that ring. Well, Mom took it. It seems like Justine wanted it, so I gave it to her. Justine was supposed to come and get it herself, but she asked my mother to get it because she wanted to go to the beauty salon."
Dan began to say this as if it was nothing to worry about. Dan must have known that the ring was an expensive gift from my mother, so how dare he give the ring away without asking me? So I told Dan exactly what I was thinking. Then Dan's face turned bright red and he raised his voice.
What's wrong with you? Don't complain to me when I'm the one who feeds and provides for you.
This is not the matter of whether you feed and provide for me or not. I'm asking you why you gave the ring away without my permission. When I responded in a stronger tone than usual, Dan became even more furious and shouted,
If you complain anymore, I'll divorce you.
At that moment, I just lost my patience. Why must I be treated this badly? I could not remain silent any longer. Fine, then let's get a divorce. I won't let you do what you want to me anymore. So I began to take out a piece of paper I had kept in a cabinet in the living room and began to sign on it. When I returned to the bedroom, Dan looked like he didn't know what to do. Here, these are the divorce papers. These are the papers when you signed it before and threw at me when we argued before. I'm going to go submit this now. Well, good for you. Now we are complete strangers to each other. Dan had made a fuss about divorce before, threatening me saying, I'll divorce you, on our previous argument. At that time, Dan brought the divorce papers, filled them out, and tossed them to me. The crumpled divorce papers. I couldn't throw it away, so I kept it. But I never thought that the day would come when I would actually use it. Then I left Dan, who looked like he was in a panic, not knowing what to do from this helpless situation, as I packed up my belongings. The things I needed to bring with me weren't much, and my suitcase was smaller than I had expected, and I was ready to leave immediately. Well then, goodbye. Please live happily with your mother and sister whom you love so much. As I said goodbye, I left the house. I thought I heard Dan call my name on the way out, but it was too late for that. Then I went to go file the divorce papers. And after, I decided to return to my parents' house. A few days passed. While I was watching TV at my parents' house, my phone rang. I picked it up immediately, but it hung up before I could answer it. Then I got another call. On the screen, I could see that Justine was calling me. While I was wondering whether to answer the phone or not, it hung up again. Then I received another call from Justine. This time, I was able to answer. Yes, hello. What's wrong? Ah, you finally picked up. What do you mean, what's wrong? I've been calling you a million times, so why didn't you pick up earlier? The loud, piercing voice hurt my ears. Then Justine continues. Ah, well, hurry up and help me. The police are at the party. Just come over here anyways. That's all she screamed to me, and then she hung up the phone. So I got ready quickly and ran out of my parents' house, and I drove to the party venue where Justine was at. I knew where it was without asking. Oh, Nora, you're so slow. Hurry up and explain to him. Justine was waiting for me just after I got out of my car. She pulls me by the hand and I follow her. Justine opened the door to the banquet hall loudly. And there, I saw people whom I've seen before. And that was because they were holding a middle school reunion at the venue, and it was the middle school where I went to. Actually, Justine and I were in the same class when we were in middle school. Of course, I had been invited to today's reunion, but Dan did not allow me to attend at the time, so I couldn't RSVP and go to the reunion in the end. I looked at the policeman, as Justine called him, and he was smiling awkwardly at me. And his name is Hugh, and in order not to let Justine escape, he moves in front of me. He's accusing that I stole this ring from your house without permission. That's not what happened, right? Nora, you gave this to me, right? Right? Justine held the ring in front of my eyes, and it looked like she was begging me to help her desperately. Of course, there was no way I would play along with her. Your mother came into my house and took this ring without my permission while I was gone. and you are wearing it without my permission. I never allowed you to wear the ring." Justine bit her lip in frustration. But it looks like she still won't let go of the ring. "If you give it back to me here and now, I won't make a big deal out of it. If you don't want to do that either, then you'll know what'll happen, right?" When I said that, Hugh took one step forward to Justine's direction. Perhaps intimidated by the power of Hugh, who's really tall, Justine finally took off the ring and handed it to me. Ugh, God! You could have at least given it to me. You're such a stingy, cheap woman. Hearing what she had said to me, apparently it seems like Justine has not learned her lesson yet. Well, if that's the case, I have an idea. I took a deep breath and spoke as loudly as I could. "Oh, is that what a person who took the $5,000 ring without my permission should be saying? Maybe we should go talk to the police together after all. Oh, and of course, your husband should be there too. I know you're living separately with your husband after a huge fight you had, but I'm sure he'll fly out right away to see what happened, right? Good for you!" My voice was pretty loud enough, and everyone in the hall was staring at us. Justine, who had attracted the attention of not only her classmates who were around her, but also those at the edge of the hall, seemed to be really embarrassed at what was happening. Her face turned bright red, and her eyes were all teary. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and said, "This is terrible," and ran out of the banquet hall while hiding her face. I hope she will reflect a little on her behavior and attitude now. I felt a little bad to have spoiled the reunion as everyone was enjoying before this happened. I apologized to my classmates and left the venue. Then Hugh said to me,
"I'm glad you got your ring back."
"Oh, I'm so sorry, Hugh. I'm sorry you had to help me with all this just because you became the police officer." Indeed, I knew in advance that Justine would surely wear the ring to this reunion. Justine had told me that she would wear the ring when I called Dan to inform him about filing the divorce papers. If Justine regretted not wearing or returning this ring at the reunion, I would not have embarrassed her in front of many people. But since I wasn't there, I had no idea what was going on inside the party venue. So I contacted Hugh, who is now a police officer, and asked him to call Justine. Actually, I was supposed to get a call from Hugh, but it was unexpected that Justine called me when Hugh approached her.
"Oh, don't worry about it. Oh yeah, why don't you just go ahead and attend the reunion? One of us has left, after all."
Hugh explained the situation to the people who organized for the reunion and got permission, and I was finally able to attend the reunion. I felt like I was back being a middle school student again and had a great time. Sometime later, Justine seemed to be too embarrassed to stay in her hometown, and before I knew it, she had moved out. I thought she had gone back to her husband, but apparently not. I don't know where she went, but in any case, she and I will never cross paths again. Justine must be actually very disappointed that she can no longer stay at her parents' house, which she loved so much. And Lauren seems to be quite shocked by her daughter's disappearance, as Justine left without telling her where she went and her son's divorce, and is now living a lonely, sad life. This is what Lauren and Justine deserves. Oh, and my ex-husband contacted me the other day. He said that he wanted to start over with me.
"I never had any intentions to divorce you."
He cried to me over the phone, but of course, there was no way I would ever get back with him anymore. Dan couldn't do any housework at all, so I'm sure he feels horrible on how he treated me and how grateful he is of me when I was with him. A mutual friend of ours told me that when she happened to see Dan at the supermarket, he was wearing a crumpled shirt, looking exhausted, and had a large amount of frozen food in his shopping basket, so there was no doubt that Dan was regretting what had happened between us. Seeing how dirty and exhausted he looked like, it seems like his neighbors were also making rumors about him. I hope that Dan, Justine, and Lauren will reflect back to what they had done. As for me, on the other hand, I was able to get a job as a nurse, just as I did before I got married. Despite the blank period I had of being a nurse, I am doing my best now, and I am very happy to be able to be involved again in a job that is so rewarding. I may have become a divorcee, but I'm the happiest in my life right now. And I learned a lot from those 3 people, to not be with those kind of people and be ever like them. I also definitely learned that you can't live a good, happy life if you do things that other people wouldn't like, or if you envy other people's things. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband uses me and cheats on me, behind my back, as he only sees me as his ATM, and as a result,
I made up my mind at the front door to get a divorce immediately from my husband. Then, with great force, I opened the front door.
Whoa! You scared me.
My husband David ended his call in a hurry.
Welcome home. You're home early today.
Yes, I'm back. Your ATM is back home now.
What do you mean?
My husband's face is completely pale. I heard about everything what you were talking about just now. So let's just quickly get a divorce, okay? My name is Natalie. It's been 4 years now since I married my husband David. But I would learn the shocking truth about my husband. I would ask myself what I saw in my husband over the past 4 years being married to him. But there is no point in regretting what had already happened in the past. All I can do at this point is to just move on. The story goes back a few years. My husband was a regular customer at one of my favorite bars. So that is where I first met my husband, and we hit it off very well. And my husband was being flirty with me, and we had a great time drinking together, but at the time, I didn't really see him as a romantic partner. The reason for this was because we had 8 years of age difference, and David was younger than me. I was still single, and I was over 40 and had zero desire to get married. But I still wanted to have kids, even though I didn't really see myself getting married.
Natalie, are you seriously single?
Well, you're so quick to get that information. That bar manager must have talked about me, huh?
Are you maybe a divorcee?
Nope, I'm not even a divorcee.
Are you serious? If you're that beautiful, no man would ever leave you alone, right?
Oh, David, you really have no clue, huh? You're too young. You know, men don't want a hard-working, independent woman like me as his wife because they'd feel inferior.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. That's the reason why I haven't been able to get married in the past, too. I've been asked to be a stay-at-home mom and do the house chores once I become the wife. But marriage is not for me. I'm sure there are many couples who help each other out even after they get married, but I didn't meet anyone like that.
I see. Well, I don't know what to say, but sorry to hear that, and good job for trying.
Oh, come on, don't pity me. I love my life, you know.
That's good then. Well, let's toast for that and drink a lot tonight.
Like that, we became friends and started drinking together. I think that went on for about 3 months. And out of the blue, David asked me to marry him.
Hey, Natalie, will you marry me?
Huh? What did you just say? I accidentally spat out the beer I was just drinking.
Whoa, it got on me.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know, we're having so much fun drinking together, right? So, don't you think it would be even more fun if we got married?
Well, not really. I didn't think of us like that.
Oh, does that mean you weren't really seeing me as a man?
No. Of course I recognize that you're a man, but I'm just saying that I didn't see you as someone who I'd have romantic feelings for, you know? You're just a fun drinking buddy.
Oh, is that so? But I saw you as a woman with romantic feelings from the beginning, Natalie.
What? Really?
Yeah. I always thought how fun it would be if I could marry a person like you, Natalie.
Oh, is that so? Well, thank you for thinking that.
Despite how I look, I'm a good cook, you know. I'm also pretty good at doing house chores.
Well, that's something new.
You think so? Even men do house chores nowadays.
Oh, really?
Yup, they do. I think I'm a pretty good choice for you. Natalie, you can just focus on your work, and I'll take care of the house chores. I'll cook delicious meals and clean up around the house really nicely. On top of that, you'll have a fun person to talk to who you can also drink with.
Come to think of it, that doesn't sound so bad. David is not at all like the other people who have asked me to marry them. And that's great. He's going to take care of the house for me. Oh, no. I should be a little more logical here. I'm not even in a relationship with David, and he already asked me to marry him. This could be a risky issue. Look, with everything that you said, I'm very happy, but you and I have never been in a relationship before. And if you're just asking me to go out first, that's understandable. But asking me to get married right away is just... Well, it's also really nice of you to ask such a thing to an old lady who is 8 years older than you, but asking for marriage all of a sudden is...
Oh, really? Nowadays, it's not unusual for people to get married after 0 days of dating. Didn't this also happen a while ago with some celebrities?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know much about the celebrities world.
Let's just get married. Marriage is all about finding a partner. I think I'd make a pretty good partner, don't you think?
But I'm 8 years older than you. Won't you think that would be an issue?
Huh? Natalie, if there were 50 $1 notes and 58 $1 notes on the table, would you be able to tell which was which?
No, I don't think so.
Then the concept is exactly the same like that. You may be concerned about the age difference now, but when you're 58, I'm 50, right? So there's not much difference if you think it that way.
I see David's point. So I accepted his marriage. To be honest, this all happened because I was earning money without any issues, and I thought that it would be easy to just get divorced if we didn't work out. I enjoyed drinking with David so much that I even felt like it would be normal for us to live together. And so, my husband came to live with me in the house which I owned once we got married. My husband really took charge of the house and did a lot of things for me.
Welcome home, Natalie. It's beef stew today.
I'm home. Wow, I can even smell how good it is from outside the house. Thank you.
Shall we open a bottle of white wine today?
Sounds good. All of my husband's dishes are all fancy and really delicious.
Natalie, I ironed your shirt for you.
Thank you. My life became a lot easier after I married my husband. But one day a little incident happened. I'm home.
Oh, Natalie, welcome home. I cooked pasta for dinner.
Thanks. Oh, you look a little down today? Did something happen at work?
Yeah, I'm actually being bullied from my boss.
What? My husband looked a little depressed.
It's happened many times before, but I feel like I'm losing my mind.
From what I heard, David's boss has been harassing him endlessly, forcing him to do jobs which David wasn't even hired to do. And then I said something which I shouldn't have. Looking back now, I realized that my husband had tricked me into saying that. You should just quit if they're treating you like that.
What? But...
You won't be able to go on if you keep going like that.
Yeah.
It's okay. I am earning money. As long as it's okay with you, I wouldn't really mind if you just become a full-time house husband.
Are you sure about that?
Of course. Actually, thank you so much for taking care of the house even while you were working. I'll give you money for living expenses, of course, and I'll even give you some allowances for you to spend as you like.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, David. I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner. So, my husband quit his job and became a full-time house husband. I never let my husband, who originally took care of the house, pay for our living expenses. It's only natural to do so since he takes care of the house for me. When my husband quit his job, our life did not become difficult. I can easily earn enough money to pay for my husband's allowance. And my husband continued to take good care of the house. I was relieved that David was free from his job and he seemed to be energetic. After 4 years of such peaceful marriage, I somewhat felt that something strange was going on.
Welcome back. Today's dinner is beef stew.
Thank you. Oh, I love your beef stew, David. Thank you so much for everything. Bon appetit. Oh? It tastes a little different from the usual one I had before. Did he make a mistake? I mean, it does taste good, don't get me wrong, but how shall I explain it? It's clearly a different type of beef stew.
How is it? Is it yummy?
Yeah, thanks as always.
Oh, that's a relief. I spent more time on it than usual today.
Oh, so that means that he overcooked it. But the texture is pretty harder than usual though. And after that day, my husband's meals had flavors which I have never tasted before from his cooking. Hey, David, you did get a health checkup this year, right?
Yeah, the one where I can get since your company sponsors them as your benefit, right? I went to that last month.
That's what I thought. Were there any issues?
No, there weren't any issues. I showed you my results the other day.
Yeah.
What? Are you worried about me?
My husband sounded like he was in a good mood, but something was different. I guess I must have had a woman's intuition, even for someone like me. I took time out of my work schedule to find an investigator and ask them to investigate about my husband. And as a result, I discovered that my husband was cheating on me. But for some reason, I wasn't shocked at all. Maybe somewhere in the back of my mind I had thought that one day, this day might come. David's mistress was a woman in her early 20s. My husband is having an affair with a girl who is more than 20 years younger than me. I guess men really are attracted to younger women. So thinking that, rather than being shocked, I thought to myself that that's just the way it is. Although I found out the truth, I didn't immediately think about divorcing David. It's not like I asked the investigator to investigate about David just because I wanted to get a divorce, but I just didn't want to stay feeling uneasy with my husband. My husband has been very devoted to me so far, and he was doing his job to the best of his ability. If David just had an affair on a whim, I wasn't going to expose him and say nothing and wait for things to cool down. But I was still a little sad and depressed about the fact that David did have an affair. I went home early that day. Just as I was about to insert the key to the front door, I heard my husband's loud laughter.
It's okay. I can go see you now.
My husband seemed to be on the phone with his mistress. What a great timing, huh?
It's okay. Don't worry about money. My ATM will take care of it.
What did he say just now?
Exactly. My wife's nickname is ATM. I only married ATM just for the money. Otherwise, I wouldn't have married that old hag. What? Cooking? Oh, it's fine, it's fine. I've been preparing the pre-packaged meals recently nowadays. So I have enough time.
Oh, so that's how it is, huh? I guess my husband only saw me as money from the beginning. All of my husband's meals were delicious, but if he asked me whether I want to eat it, even if he treats me like an ATM, I don't want to eat it at all. and it seems like he's been only preparing pre-packaged meals. Even I can prepare that for myself. I made up my mind at the front door to get a divorce immediately from my husband. Then, with great force, I opened the front door.
Whoa! You scared me.
My husband, David, ended his call in a hurry.
Welcome home. You're home early today.
Yes, I'm back. Your ATM is back home now.
What do you mean?
My husband's face is completely pale. I heard about everything what you were talking about just now. So, let's just quickly get a divorce, okay?
What? Oh, come on, that was just a joke.
A joke? When you're having an affair behind my back?
No. There's no way I'm having an affair. I was just joking around with my friends who are all guys.
Then what is this? I put the documents which show the results from the investigation agency. My husband picked it up, looked at what it was, and immediately slammed down the documents on the table.
Well...
Yes, you've been cheating on me. If it was just a fling, I wouldn't have said anything. But I'm not that carefree enough to stay with you when you just treat me like an ATM. Well, I am no longer obligated to support you. Then, my husband became defiant.
Divorce, huh? You sure about that? Natalie, if we get a divorce, you'll forever be alone, you know. What are you going to do? Like, when you get older and you age, someone has to look after you.
I don't think you take care of me nicely. I mean, you're going to poison me and take my money, aren't you? David doesn't even try to deny the fact, so that's exactly what he was trying to do. I really couldn't believe him.
Oh, man. So that means I really can't get your money, huh, Natalie? Then fine, we can get a divorce. I also have a girlfriend who claims to be the daughter of a wealthy family who at least makes more money than you, Natalie.
What? I thought you were having an affair with only one woman, right?
Wow. The investigator who you asked for to check up on me did a really crap job on investigating about me. How could they only find that I had an affair with one woman? Oh well. Just leave, okay?
Okay. Is that what you think I would say? When this is my house? You should be the one to leave, okay?
Huh? Since we're a married couple, we share properties, you know. Even this house, I'm entitled to half of it.
How ignorant are you? Well, we need a lawyer in between to discuss about this. So let's discuss this on another day.
Just get out of here.
So I just left the house as soon as possible once I got some of my things. By how my husband was acting around, it looks like he would never leave the house. There was no point in talking with him. Even though I was being kicked out, this will all be settled under the law. When I returned to the house a few days later, accompanied by a lawyer, my husband looked really surprised. David probably really didn't think that a lawyer would really come.
You! Don't be a coward and bring in the lawyer here.
I will, because this is my house. I won't allow you to illegally occupy it. This house is in my name, so you'll definitely lose. It's going to cost a lot of money, you know. When my husband heard that it would cost a lot of money, he accepted to move out of the house and packed up his belongings and left in about 3 days. Later, the divorce was successfully finalized, but my ex-husband was still being obsessed with money. He wanted only one thing. He wanted half of my property. But when it was discovered that my ex-husband had been having an affair with 3 women and that I told him that I would request alimony, he got quiet instantly. In the end, it was settled that the common property for the 4 years of the marriage was to be cancelled off with the alimony. At that time, my ex-husband spoke highly of the wealthy young lady who was his main love out of the 3 women, and boldly said that he would never run out of money. David only spoke about money until the very end. A month later, as I was regaining my peace and quiet, I received a phone call from David.
Natalie, I'm really sorry.
Oh, so you're apologizing to me now? What happened?
That woman was a fraud.
Huh?
You know, the woman with the wealthy family.
Oh, okay. And? Did she take all your money?
Yes, exactly. She asked me if I wanted to get in on her dad's investment. So I gave her all the money I'd saved during the years I worked. She told me I'd make a lot of money.
You're such an idiot.
Natalie, please help me. I really don't have any money anymore.
Well then, have a nice life. Goodbye, I'm gonna block you. I then hung up the phone and blocked my ex-husband's contact information. Later, my ex-husband was seen by the manager of the bar I used to go to, and it looked like David was waiting in line for a bus to the factory with a group of people. I'm sure David's working with them. He's getting old, so I'm sure no one takes him seriously anymore. David is a good cook, so I'm sure he could make a good living if he became a housekeeper or something like that. But I guess he'll understand these things on his own in his own time. I am currently focusing solely on my job because of what had happened with my ex-husband. David mentioned about how I'd feel after retirement, but I'll be fine. I'll be well on my own. I'm planning to save up and go into a nursing care when I get older. It is okay for everyone to have a different path in life. I will live my life the way I want to. A marriage after 0 days in a relationship, what a challenger, huh? But I guess Natalie was able to do that because she had enough money. I hope Natalie's life from now on will be prosperous. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband and our son both treats me like I am their slave and bullies me around horribly as a result.
Shut the hell up! You're such an annoying woman. How can I even eat this crappy lunch?
My son Kyle shouts at me like that and trashes the lunch which I prepared for him that day.
It's your fault for not making good lunches. You're useless.
Oh, I can't take it anymore. Let's get a divorce.
I'll be glad to. Now, get the hell out of here.
But a few minutes later, the two of them would be crying to me. My name is Christy. I am a housewife living with my husband Damien and our son Kyle, who is in the 8th grade. My husband and I have not been blessed with kids, but after being patient, finally we were blessed with Kyle. I have loved my son since he was a baby, and Kyle was the apple of my eye. But recently, Kyle is in the height of his rebellious phase. Kyle, hurry up and take a bath.
Shut up, you old hag. You're supposed to keep the tub hot for me so that I can get in on my own time.
Kyle, honey, get up early and go to school.
It seems like you haven't cleaned my room at all. What the heck is going on? You better get it done by the time I get back.
Oh, Kyle, if you're not busy, please help me a little, honey.
Shut up and just go get me some juice.
Like that, Kyle's outbursts towards me were terrible. Plus, he treats me like his servant and blames me when I didn't do it for him. And the other day, I found out that he was taking money from my wallet without my permission. When I questioned him about it, Kyle didn't seem offended and said,
"All you can do for me is give me money anyways."
At first, I tolerated him, thinking that he was just going through puberty as he is in 8th grade. But as I have watched his recent behavior and how he treats me, his own mother, I have come to realize that I can no longer let that slide as his puberty. I wondered what to do, and when I asked Damien about it, he replied,
"Kyle's bad attitude is because of your bad education. You're a housewife, but you can't even do proper house chores or raise a child."
And like that, I was blamed by Damien as well. Kyle's behavior and Damien's constant blame towards me were becoming more and more frustrating. Was it my fault that I didn't raise Kyle properly? Was it because of his puberty? Is there anything I can do to solve this? One day while I was thinking to myself like this, an incident occurred. I wake up early every morning just to make lunch for Kyle. Some days he doesn't go to school recently, but I don't know how Kyle is feeling and what he's in the mood for, so I do my best to wake up early every day. But
I don't want this lunch. It doesn't taste good. If you're going to make lunch, make it better.
Kyle then took the lunch that I just finished making and turned the lunchbox upside down in front of me. Then the lunch that I made went right into the trash. I could do nothing but be shocked about what had happened.
Finally, I won't have to eat a bad lunch anymore. Well, I'll take some money for lunch money.
Kyle said that as he pulls the bills out of my wallet and tossed back the wallet to me. I clutched the wallet tightly in my hand, unable to find anything to say back to him. Then Kyle left the house. Even though I was standing right beside him, Damien didn't say anything. In times like this, a father should speak up.
It's your fault for not making a good lunch for Kyle. So a lunch that doesn't taste good deserves to be thrown away. I wouldn't want to eat it either.
Even when I tell Damien to scold Kyle, he blames me for everything.
You can't even clean up or do laundry well, but we still put up with you. Can't you at least try to be a better cook? Don't you think you should put yourself in our shoes, who has to eat these meals which tastes horrible every day? As Damien said that, he quickly left the house. The breakfast I had prepared for Damien and Kyle was left on the dining table, untouched. And in the trash was the lunch that I had woken up early to prepare. Ever since I was a child, I was taught not to waste food. That's why I could never understand the behavior of not eating prepared meals or throwing any food away. When we first got married, Damien used to eat my home-cooked meals, saying that they were delicious. Until recently, Kyle told me that he loved my Salisbury steak. It was not that my cooking was particularly bad, but I could only think that both Damien and Kyle was harassing me or trying to bully me. Kyle and Damien's terrible attitudes towards me ran through my mind. I sigh loudly and take out a sheet of paper that I had tucked away in a drawer. It was the divorce papers that I had secretly tucked away, as I thought that I'd have it just in case if anything happens. I've had enough and I couldn't stand it anymore. Maybe they would be better off without me. With these feelings, I filled out the divorce papers. When Damien and Kyle returned home, I spread out the signed divorce papers on the table. I've just had enough at this point, so let's get a divorce. Oh yay, I'm so happy. Just get out.
Hearing me asking for divorce, Kyle says this happily.
I'm so glad I'm divorcing a wife who can't even do her own house chores, even when the housekeepers can do a good job about it.
Damien said that and also filled out the divorce papers quickly. Kyle looked at me with a gloomy expression on his face and said,
Get out of here right now.
All right, I'm leaving this house, and you two can do the rest on your own.
Well, yeah, because this is my house. So you can go wherever you want. Kyle and I were both men, so it's easier for us to be alone.
Saying this, Damien patted Kyle on the shoulder, and then Kyle began to tremble. Then Kyle said something unbelievable.
I knew you cared more about your partner who you're cheating on with than us. That's why you're leaving us, isn't it?
Kyle's words startled me and I stopped moving for a moment.
You're having an affair, aren't you, Mom? So I felt like I was betrayed and abandoned and I couldn't forgive you.
So, Kyle mistakenly thought that I was cheating on Damien and that I was betraying my family. It wasn't puberty that was causing him to suddenly lash out at me and be so arrogant and having a terrible attitude like that. But I've never cheated, or I'm not cheating with anyone behind Damien's back. Kyle, why did you even think that? Besides, it's not me who is having an affair, but it's your father. When I said that, Kyle froze, saying, What? And Damien looked like he was panicking, not knowing what to do.
What are you saying, Christy? There is no such thing that I cheat on you, and it's all a false accusation.
Then I'll show you the proof. I took out a cardboard box from our bedroom and spread it out on the table. In it was a necktie which I didn't remember buying, a hotel membership card I've never heard of, a woman's handkerchief which I don't even recognize, and a shirt with lipstick on it. Damien had been acting weird and a little off for some time, taking his phone into the bathroom and bathtub, and he also smelled like he was wearing a woman's perfume on the days he came home late. So I had asked an investigator to investigate about Damien with divorce in my mind. My hunch was right, and the results showed that Damien was having an affair behind my back.
What kind of evidence is this? You can make these things up, you know.
Damien refused to accept the evidence I showed him, so I confronted him with a definite proof. Are you saying that what you see in this photo is also made up? The photo showed Damien and a woman who worked under him, walking arm in arm.
This is, well, it's not that I was cheating on you.
You filled out the divorce papers really quickly because you thought you could remarry that woman anyway, right? As I turned to Damien and said this, Kyle murmured in a small voice saying,
You've got to be kidding me, right? What you told me was a complete lie, Dad. Because you're the one who told me that Mom was the one having an affair. That's because...
As Kyle shouts at Damien, he became smaller and smaller. Damien had once been scolded by Kyle for treating me like a servant and verbally abusing me badly.
You're being terrible to Mom, Dad.
In order to get Kyle, who defended me, onto Damien's side, he lied to Kyle that I was having an affair. And Kyle unfortunately believed that lie, felt betrayed by me, and began to behave badly. Not only did you trick me, but you tricked our son as well. You are not only a lousy husband, but also a lousy father.
Christy and Kyle, I am so sorry.
We shall just discuss everything through a lawyer now. I am no longer interested in having any conversation with you. I am leaving now. I ignore and shake off Damien's attempts to hang on to me and gather my things to leave the house. Then, Kyle opens the bedroom door apologetically and walks in.
I'm sorry, Mom. I know you may not forgive me, but I'm really sorry, Mom.
Toward the end, Kyle was at a loss for words, and I knew that he was crying. After so much verbal abuse I received from Kyle, I honestly don't think that I could forgive Kyle so easily. But when I saw my son's tears, I couldn't leave him just like that. Kyle, I'm thinking of going back to my parents' house. Would you also like to come too, Kyle?
I'm really sorry, Mom. Thank you. I will go with you.
Kyle apologized to me again and started to pack his things in his room. Kyle and I finished preparing to leave the house and declared to Damien that we were leaving. I'm going to charge you alimony, definitely. Of course, I will also charge the person with whom you had an affair, so please keep that in mind.
No way. If we discuss about it, you'll understand. Right, Kyle? You're always on my side, right? I can't believe you could say such thing when you were the one who lied to me. You really let me down.
Kyle and I left the house together while ignoring Damien. Kyle seemed a little concerned about Damien, but when I started to walk away, he followed right behind me. I went straight home to my parents' house and explained the situation to them, and they gladly welcomed me and Kyle. After returning home, Kyle changed his attitude from how he was before and began to help out willingly. He takes the initiative to do everything from cleaning the bathroom to shopping, not to mention cleaning and doing laundry, even without being asked. My parents live at home and are pretty old, so Kyle's help is a big help to them. They were happy to know that Kyle was growing up to be a good son. Kyle is a good son, and since coming back to my parents' house, Kyle seems to be back to who he was before. The grudges I had towards Kyle had gradually disappeared, and our conversations have increased. But there is one thing that has been traumatic for me. It was the incident when Kyle threw away the lunch right in front of me. No matter how hard I watched Kyle work, I couldn't bring myself to make him lunch because I still clearly remembered what happened that day. I guess Kyle knew and felt that too, because he never asked me to make him lunch. But Kyle's allowance was not enough to cover the cost of lunch. So, Kyle began waking up early and started to make his own lunch. Although he wasn't really used to it, he stood in the kitchen and cut vegetables. Seeing Kyle like that, the trauma in my heart gradually faded away. One day, Kyle told me that he had cooked scrambled eggs and left some for leftovers. I was curious and tried some of the leftovers. It tasted very salty, as if he put too much salt and pepper. I wonder if Kyle always eats salty scrambled eggs. It made me smile to think of Kyle trying his best to make his lunch every day, even though he was not used to it. Even though Damien had lied to him and he was tricked by Damien, I still would not be able to easily forgive Kyle for what he did. That's what I thought. But when I see Kyle working so hard on his own to help out, I can feel that he's making an effort to win my trust. Tears began to well up as I ate the salty scrambled eggs. Kyle was the one I had waited for so long to come into the world as my child. The son whom I had loved so much since he was a little baby boy, as he was the apple of my eye. I thought I might never be able to forgive him again after everything he had said and done to me. But after all, Kyle is my beloved son. I vowed to let bygones be bygones and face Kyle again. From that day on, my relationship with Kyle began to change for the better. I received the alimony from Damien and his mistress, and we divorced. With my savings, we moved into an apartment near my parents' house where we could live together as a family of two. I had been a nurse before my marriage, so I had no trouble getting back to work. When I started looking for work, the hospital manager where I had previously worked immediately called me. I was to work as a full-time nurse, and naturally, I would have to work the night shift on some days. But I never felt burdened because Kyle willingly volunteered to do the house chores. By the time Kyle became a high school student, we had grown very close. I even felt that we were closer than before Kyle's rebellion began. The two of us often go shopping together, and Kyle quickly carries the shopping bags for me without saying a word. One day, as the two of us were going out shopping as usual, I saw Damien on a sidewalk. Damien looked really dirty, and it looked like he was homeless, rummaging through a trash can. According to what my lawyer told me, Damien had had quite a hard time paying his alimony after our divorce. Still, he somehow paid the alimony, thinking that if he paid it, he could finally be with his mistress. But later on, when I demanded alimony from Damien's mistress as well, they ended up breaking up. Damien was fired from his job because his mistress told everyone in the company that Damien had forced himself onto her. Seeing Damien being like that, it didn't really make me sad at all. He got what he deserves. I muttered to myself, and Kyle turned to me and asked,
"Mom, what's wrong?"
Kyle didn't seem to notice Damien. Even though we were divorced, Damien was still Kyle's father. But Damien tried to tear Kyle and I apart with his stupid lies. Now that we are divorced, we are a family, just the two of us. I thought about it a lot, but in the end, I didn't tell Kyle about Damien. "Oh, no, it's nothing. Anyways, what do you want to eat tonight for dinner?"
Salisbury steak. I really love how you make it, so I want to know how you make it, Mom. Please teach me today.
Sure. I'm looking forward to the day I get to eat one of your delicious Salisbury steak, Kyle. Pretending not to have seen Damien, Kyle and I went into the shopping center together happily. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband took a trip with his lover, charging everything on my CC. 1 week later, they returned to
$3,000 for accommodations at a luxury hotel, $1,000 for meals at high-class restaurants, $500 at a well-known spa. What the heck are these? I happened to take a peek at the credit card statement, which normally is left for my husband to take care of. There's a lineup of bills that shows a horrendous amount. Moreover, all of these reservations that have been paid for in advance are for the same period. Those were dates when my husband, who serves in PTA at our daughter's middle school, is to attend a board retreat. Even if I'm not familiar with these things, I understand what it means. To support me in my demanding job, my husband has decided to be a stay-at-home dad. Thanks to his devotion to his family, I've been able to commit myself to work without worries. I've been grateful to him for being too good to be true. Yet, his true intention may have not been for the family. I carefully take out something and slip it into his wallet. At the same time, I make a call to someone. He will be leaving in a week, probably with great spirit. I hope it will be an unforgettable memory for him. My name is Maggie. I'm a nurse. I work at a university hospital. Honestly, my days are so busy that there's no difference between days and nights. The reason I can continue working my crazy hours is my beloved husband, Glenn. I love my job and I'm proud of it. I couldn't choose between my marriage and my job, and cried hard in front of him many times. He respected my determination and decided to be a full-time stay-at-home dad to support his family. He always pushed me to work to the best of my ability. He never paid attention to the curious eyes of other mothers, and even served on the PTA board at our daughter's middle school. My daughter Sasha was also supportive. I, as a breadwinner, had been working hard to make ends meet for my family. One day, I received a call from my credit card company. I changed the debit account for my own convenience the other day. The money wasn't deposited in time for withdrawal, and it was an overdraft. Oh, darn it. I hastily checked my credit card statement in order to make the transfer. Since I usually left such matters to Glenn, I hadn't checked their statement for years. I realized how lax I had been. My eyeballs almost popped out of my head when I saw the statement on my phone screen. The total amount was outrageous. I panicked thinking about what I had spent. I couldn't even remember what I bought. I decided to check the details. There I found a long history of which I had no recollection. Name of designers, brand boutiques, famous perfumery, and a luxury watch brand. I liked those brands, but I hadn't bought anything from them. For a moment I wondered if Glenn, who had a family card, was planning to surprise me. I hadn't received any of them though. Moreover, all the purchases were made only on Wednesdays. It was a day I worked a night shift and Glenn had a board meeting. What's going on? I resolved to question him as soon as I got home. I hurried home anxiously. Then I heard a voice calling out to me. Hi, Maggie. Long time no see. Are you on the way home from work? I was almost home when I ran into Tara. She was also a PTA member and one of the few mothers I knew from the school. Hey, long time. Thank you for always helping Glenn. I hope he isn't giving you a hard time. I didn't know what to say to her, so I quickly brought up the common subjects that I could think of. She patted me on the shoulder, saying I was acting distant. The moment she moved her arm, my sense focused on the fragrance in the air. The perfume she wore was the signature of the perfumery that was on the credit card statement. I had wanted to buy it so badly that I tried it on many times in the shop. I missed the timing to buy it in the end, but I clearly remembered the scent. Smells nice. That's the one I wanted too. Did you buy it? No idea why I asked her that. Jealousy. I was ashamed of my foolishness. Still, the purchases were always made on Wednesdays when the meeting was held. A PTA member wearing the same perfume. Once I suspected her, my thoughts went more and more toward the unpleasant side. Tara, of course, was unaware of my suspicion and cheerfully responded. Actually, I got it as a gift. It was our anniversary the other day. She laughed cutely. Oh, that's so nice. You guys are so in love. I felt relaxed, and after enjoying the casual conversation, we parted ways. It was not surprising that she had it since it was a popular item. Even after the birth of her children, she still talked about her anniversary with her husband in such a cute and happy way. She didn't say husband. I stopped abruptly and returned to the place where I had left her. Of course, she wasn't there. But the urge to go after her was so strong. Glenn and she had something going on. The little doubt that popped up in my mind swelled to the point that I could no longer ignore it. The next Wednesday, my family saw me off to work as usual. Then I asked my colleagues to let me leave early. I didn't tell Glenn, of course. If I told him, it would have been meaningless. I waited for him a short distance from home. Soon after, my mother-in-law arrived and in turn, Glenn left for the meeting. So far so usual. I followed him to the school. The board members had a meeting in the classroom for about half an hour and then dispersed. While most of them rushed back home, Glenn slowly came out at last, arm in arm with Tara. They stared into each other's eyes as they intertwined their fingers and walked toward a hotel. They had no clue that I was only a few meters behind them. My face scrunched up with tears. I believed in him. I loved him. Did he allow me to work long hours for his convenience? I stood there, feeling betrayed and despair. Mercilessly, my phone displayed the latest credit card usage, which showed the hotel bill he just went in. Eventually, the fun was over and the two of them came out looking happy. I calmly snapped pictures of them. There were no more tears, not even a trace of affection left in my heart. After that, I avoided seeing Glenn as much as possible, using my work as an excuse. Personally, I wouldn't have minded divorcing him right away. The divorce meant that I was taking Sasha away from her father. I didn't want to speak to anyone until I had a chance to think it through. Mom? Sasha's sudden voice brought me back to reality. I had been crying alone in the living room in the middle of the night since that day. I thought I was being discreet, but it seemed that she had noticed something was wrong. She couldn't sleep, or maybe she just woke up. She came out of bed late at night and gently hugged me. I don't want you to be sad. Your enemies are my enemies. I won't forgive anyone who makes you sad. Even if it's Dad, I won't forgive him." Her words opened the floodgate that had been holding all the feelings. I waited like a child. Tears of gratitude for her and apologies, and everything else spilled out. "If I divorce your dad, things won't be the same as before. We have to move, and we won't be able to see him every day. If you have to change schools, you won't be able to see your friends." I spilled out of my concerns one after another. She interrupted and assured me, "I still want to be with you, Mom. I want to be a nurse like you. I'll be fine, so please, do as you want." She held my hands tightly. "Thank you, sweetheart." Encouraged by her, I decided to act on my plan. I had gotten into the habit of checking my credit card statements and found out that Glenn was planning a week-long trip. He called it a PTA board retreat. In the past, I would have sent it off without a second thought. Common sense told me that it would be unthinkable for parents with children to be away from home for a week at the same time. Even if it were to happen, and even if Glenn were to advance the cost of the trip on the credit card, the destination and the type of hotel were far off from the norm. He underestimated me not to find out. His attempts to hide the evidence became extremely difficult for him. I had not only the list of credit card transactions, but also the details of the courses at a chic restaurant, the confirmation of the hotel booking, and even the request for a surprise cake. I was grateful to him for quitting his job and becoming a stay-at-home dad. I thought it was my duty to work hard to provide for my family in return. I was definitely not working for him to betray his family and fool around like this. Don't mess with me. On my next day off, I calmly began my revenge against him. First, I called the hotel and every restaurant he had booked. Although the reservations were made in his name, I knew the details. When I told them that I was his wife, they didn't suspect me so much. Later that night, I took out his wallet that was left in the living room and pulled out his credit card. He used to carry around cash only before we got married and had never made his own card other than the family one. If his only card went missing, he would have immediately noticed something was wrong. So I put an expired one in his wallet. It had been renewed about 6 months ago, but I had been neglecting to get rid of it. I was truly amazed by my laziness and praised myself a little only for that occasion. It looked the same, but it was still expired. If he used it somewhere, he would have found out right away. It just needed to last until he was away from home. I'm leaving now. I'm going to have a lot of discussions to make the school better. Sasha, take good care of your mom, okay? Glenn left the house smiling, unaware of anything. Sasha and I also saw him off with smiles on our faces. I could have punched him in the face, but strangely, I felt very peaceful thinking that it was the last time I saw him. Well, let's get started. Yes. We made sure he was out of sight. In an instant, our smiles were concealed, and we rushed to pack our belongings. The movers showed up shortly after, and thanks to their efficiency, we were able to move into our new home in no time. Excuse me, where should we take these? Oh, don't worry about them. You can just leave them there. They took off wondering about the boxes that were piled up in one corner of the room. Then I handed them over to another mover who arrived in turn. The contents were all Glenn's belongings. There was nothing left in the house after that. Waiting for his return in the living room, Filled with memories were credit card statements and picture of him and Tara that I had taken the other day. I also left my wedding ring that had lost its meaning, and a draft of divorce papers. I noticed that my cell phone has tons of missed calls. They were all from Glenn, who probably noticed something strange on the trip. Too bad for him. I sent a text saying that I was unable to respond due to several emergency operations. I read my vibrating phone in a tower and put it in the bottom of my bag. By the time his meddling calls had calmed down, my call history had exceeded 100. Sasha and I couldn't help but giggle at it. Oh, right. I should probably make one last call. Yeah, that's a good idea. We made a call to someone. Later, what's going on here? Maggie? Sasha? Anybody home? When Glenn returned home, in a good mood, after a week-long affair, he was shocked to find the house empty. Stunned by what I had left behind for him, he repeatedly called me to no avail. Of course not. I blocked him on my phone. Then he received a call from an unknown number. He thought it was me and jumped at the call. Hello? What the hell have you done? I was asked to pay for all the bookings I had already prepaid online, and my credit card expired. Do you have any idea how humiliated I was? This is nothing but harassment. I had to borrow money from everyone. Take responsibility and come up with the money now. So, did you borrow 5 grand from each of them? If that's true, that's an awful lot of money. Did you go overseas? I bet you must have had a lot of fun. I hope Tara didn't give you a hard time. Glenn stiffened at an unexpectedly low, commanding voice. He turned pale and started trembling so badly that he could not make a word. Is this Tara's? I'm so honored that you remember me. Yes, this is her husband. I know everything about you guys. I will make a firm demand for alimony from her. I won't let you guys get away with it. He hung up the phones as soon as he finished. He had no interest in hearing what Glenn had to say. Panic-stricken, he tried to contact Tara, but the phone was dead. It had already been cancelled. It was her husband whom I called and told about their affair that day. He was surprised, but not distraught, and sounded deeply sorry. He was somewhat aware of her affair. It was still shocking for him to find that her cheating partner was a close acquaintance. He even offered to cooperate with me to do what I wanted. After I got the address of her parents from him, I sent all of Glenn's belongings along with a copy of my divorce papers and pictures of their affair to them. They were, of course, furious. They were in such an uproar. That the whole neighborhood came to know about Tara's divorce and losing custody of her children due to the adultery. Her parents were wealthy with a successful local business. She probably thought that they were going to help her no matter what. They were enraged with her actions, which were fatal to their credibility as a business owner. They did not even let her inside the house when she had come to them in tears. In the end, she had nobody to turn to and began to live alone in a small apartment. She worked day and night at a place that was famous for its low wage and hardship to pay alimony. Meanwhile, Sasha and I temporarily moved in with my parents until the divorce was finalized. Glenn also had returned to his. I'm actually still in touch with them as they care about Sasha greatly. According to his dad, he literally spends every waking moment on the farm now. He can't afford to delay the payment of alimony and child support. His dad sounded deeply dismayed by him. My attorney managed to negotiate a hefty amount of alimony on top of child support, so his monthly payment is quite a sum. I'm sure that he would have to work hard but unable to save for himself for years to come. It sounds like a living hell. After the divorce was successfully finalized, I moved to a new house with Sasha. In the end, she transferred to another school. Her new teachers and classmates have welcomed her warmly, so she's been enjoying her new life. Now that Glenn is someone from the past, I have to do the housework myself. It is much harder to keep a good balance between work and home than I imagine. But I definitely prefer this life rather than the one doubting my partner and a friend. I feel refreshed being freed from all the negatives now. I vote to be happier and work harder than before.